to welcome you from Elizabeth Tarbox's Life Tides. None of us ever really walks in another's shoes or knows the innermost rooms of a person's heart. Therefore, let us be gentle with one another. Let us listen more than we speak and accept more than we judge. Let our open, outstretched hands reach and touch, that we may walk along together for a little while in friendship and in trust. Good morning, everyone. I knew you would come, so the chalice and the candles have been lit to welcome you in after your journey. And as many of you have often heard me say, and because to me, this is who we are, I repeat these words without apology. Welcome to this place of light and love, a most special place, a most special space. Within these walls, all are truly welcome and safe. Here, peace is found, joy celebrated, sorrow shared. And while our church is beautiful, it becomes sacred because you are here. Thank you for bringing the blessing of your presence to this day. My name is Mary Jean, and as always, I am honored to be a part of today's service. And however it is that you have found yourself here, this community truly means for you to feel welcome. If by chance this is your first visit here, you would honor us by signing the guest book in the rear of the church, and I promise you, no salespeople will call after. And you and all of our friends gathered today are welcome to stay for drinks and treats out on the porch. It's a lovely way of adding to our time together. I'll look for you there. While we look forward to the musical offerings brought to us by Kathleen and Mark this Sunday, thank you, and the beautiful sounds and dances of children are always enjoyed, we would really prefer not to hear the music of your ringtone. So kindly take a moment to turn your cell phone off or silence it if you haven't already thought to do so, and thank you. Lastly, your order of service is not only today's program, but a guide to all things North Chapel and all the events happening here. Make sure you check yours out to be certain you don't miss something you would really like to take part in. Last Sunday, as Leon spoke, he included journeys as part of his sharing. And today we continue, pardon the pun, down the same path. We know, don't we, that the road is often fraught with bumps and detours and that travels are never guaranteed to be easy. With this in mind, some words from a new favorite. After listening, let's take a bit of time, shall we, to bring ourselves into this moment. Leave the dirty dishes where they are, back in your sink. Let the chore list wait. Put the walkway of life aside for just a bit and allow yourself to be here. And On We Go by Donna Ashworth. There is much power in the phrase, and on we go. We break and rebuild, knowing we will break again. We lose, but still love, though we know the pain won't end. We struggle along alone, yet we stop along the way to help another to see a brighter day. No matter what we have faced, how hard we have smashed against the rocks of life, we wash up, we shed tears, we wail to the skies, we let go, we rest, we brush down, we shake off, and on we go. August worship theme is Rolling Waters, Mighty Stream. A pretty fitting metaphor for life's path, I'd say. Our journeys in this life often include incredible travels, hikes, trips, walks. My own child, Scotty, who many of you know, starts off on the long trail in 3 days. I marvel at the thought of such a feat and look forward to the easy job of being a trail angel for Scotty and friend Amanda as they trek. Maryann and Mollie shared their adventure of a lifetime together. And as members of our community, it means almost even more that they're here to share, and we're so happy that they are. Okay, time for the hike.
I am wearing, I should show everybody, I'm wearing my fancy duds. This fit in my backpack, very lightweight. Everything is focused on lightweight when you do this. All right, I am going to start with a reading by Joseph Campbell because Maryann and I listen to Joseph Campbell often while we were resting. This is from the hero's adventure. Furthermore, we have not even to risk the adventure alone, for the heroes of all time have gone before us. The labyrinth is thoroughly known. We have only to follow the thread of the hero path. And where we had thought to find an abomination, we shall find a god. And now I'm coming higher. And where we had thought to slay another, we shall slay ourselves. Where we had thought to travel outward, we will come to the center of our own existence. And where we had thought to be alone, we will be with all the world. That certainly captures what I believe we both experienced on this journey. So how did I even get here? I was unexpectedly thrown into retirement last November and a bit of a whirlwind. And Maryann reached out to me, I don't know, late December and told me about the El Camino. Honestly, I'd never even heard about it. And I thought, well, I don't know what I'm doing with the rest of my life, but I need a challenge. So, we prepped. Sometimes, perhaps often, gratitude and deep inner learning is achieved from going through a great deal of stress. In my experience, some of my greatest life lessons and heartaches have come from stress. If I honestly look at it, I can find what it has to teach me. My recent walk in Spain challenged me emotionally, physically, and psychically. My emotions run high when pushed to my limits of pain and endurance. I am so grateful to Maryann for tolerating me in these moments. Much of what I want to talk about is gratitude, about the things I learned about myself, my past, and how I want to change certain behaviors and responses to stress moving forward in my retirement years. Preparation and various levels of stress. So preparing for this walk was not stressful at all. I live in East Barnard. I live in a beautiful place. I walked a lot. My wonderful husband walked with me. Other people joined me. It was great. Travel, happy stress. I was so excited to be traveling and doing it for myself and not doing it for work. And I love being out in the world and meeting new people. So gratitude comes easily when taking in all of that, the travel, and then, the breathtaking mountain views and the charming ancient village scenes. It brought me to tears often. I would just look at it and could not believe where I was. I looked in awe at most of it. I look at the pictures now and I start crying. And getting to know a new friend, Maryann, was an honor and full of surprises, great stories, and more. We may not always agree about politics, religion, and so forth, but it was important to listen and share our stories as we walked. All of this was part of our spirit of life, song, and walk. We sang that song every day, I believe. So that really touches me now. Embarrassment. was high in my early days as I felt I peed too much. Sorry, I have to pop a squat again, I'd say. Apologies spewed from my mouth like a run-on sentence. Stop, my friend would say. Yes, stop. Physical challenge. Was I up for this task of long daily walks? I thought so, until I faced some mountainous terrain I was not expecting. I was embarrassed that I did not read up on the elevation changes and trail conditions more. Turns out I chose the wrong shoes. I'm wearing what I wore today. They're great around here, but hiking boots would have been better for me. Another embarrassment, which I'm shedding now, I'm happy to say, but keeping up. I felt I could not keep up with my walking partner at times, or anyone else on the trail. I felt like a slow poke, and I just feel like I walk slower, and it was embarrassing. Although one day, when I was walking towards the end of the day and struggling, this whole troop of school kids walked by me, and these young children looked at me and they said, "You are doing so great." It was so touching. People are very kind, and you sense their caring as they walk by, and it was just lovely. So here's the tough part, the lessons I've learned. I've had a lifelong belief that I'm a burden for being born. This is heavy, I realize. It's something I need to recognize, and I'm definitely working on letting it go. The story behind this belief is that when my mom was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 3 months old, I was told numerous times that I was handed to my 9-year-old sister who raised me, and that I ruined and stole her childhood. Therefore, I am a burden. So this kind of tapped into my walking too slow, stopping too much, feeling like I wasn't keeping up the pace. It brought this old belief to the surface on day 2. And it was like this aha bubble. So I reached out to my sister through WhatsApp, a very handy thing to have on your phone, and I told her about it. And I said, "I know this is your truth, but around me, I need you to stop saying it because I really need to just put it to an end." The other major takeaway for me was to ask for what I need. I needed John to be here today, and he came. Thank you. You can do this politely and cheerfully, and if it doesn't work, it's okay to state what you need if your mental, physical health is at risk. The key thing for me is to not come off as a biatch when asking for what I need. An example was on our walk, I really did need Maryann to go with me to a Spanish health clinic. I needed her as my friend. She's wonderful speaking Spanish. I needed a translator, and to help me get to the hotel where I actually spent 2 days in bed. So, like I said, it's physically taxing, this walk. And the other final takeaway for myself is I don't have to keep up. It's okay to go at my own pace. And I know this now. The rituals, again, spirit of life, was just so heartwarming. At the end of the day, another ritual we had was what we called our F-bomb time of day, because our bodies were spent, our humor was draining. And so we would tease each other and do like we were doing when we were walking in, saying, "Whose idea was this?" Another blessing and interesting part was going to different churches. It was interesting for me because I don't identify as a Christian, even though I was raised that way. I loved the Latin Mass that was sung in a very ancient church, and other rituals with various people of all religions. It was fascinating. I love the daily ritual of washing socks and undies. It is so easy and satisfying to have a light footprint on life, and I'm happy to show anybody what's in that pack. I actually reenacted it for you if anyone wants to try it on. It's really cool how easy it is to live with a backpack in 3 weeks. And then the people. We met so many wonderful people along the way from all over the world, and that was a true highlight. A favorite, though, I'm going to share with you is the man I call with the yellow hat. His name was Peter. He was from the Netherlands, and we met him once along the trail. We saw him camping and resting in the grasses and flinging shirts, and he just looked like a character. So during one of our high-stress F-bomb end-of-day moments, he just kind of popped out of the woods like an elf. He wore this yellow cloth sun hat, clothes from a thrift store. He proudly shared that they were from the thrift store. And he had a huge grin, long hair, and a handlebar mustache. And he corralled us as we walked. And I felt his energy insisting that we be a threesome. He was so cute. Maryann is a wonderful singer, and she started to sing. Then Peter said, "What can we all sing?" I suggested some Beatles songs, my favorite. So we sang Beatles songs with him, and he would turn to face us often and make sure that we were together for like the last 3 to 5 miles. And that day, I felt no pain and no stress. It was so cool. So my main takeaway from this 3-week walk is gratitude. My body made the walk. I'm proud that I made it, that I met each daily challenge, that I could even do this at 68. Gratitude for the patience and kindness from my new friend, for her bravery in trusting me to take her with her on this adventure, for her Spanish skills, her organization skills, her blister tending skills, and so many more. Gratitude for my life, my health, my ability to learn, to change, and to acknowledge my privilege in the ability to travel and experience new things. My oldest friend from childhood was here 2 weeks ago and heard me talk about this in East Barnard, and she said, "You know, you were your mother's legs on this trip." And I didn't really think about that because my mom stopped walking when I was about 3. So I thought, yeah, very, very grateful. So the gratitude for the enduring pain and accepting help was immense for me. The lesson of I am not a burden and I need to ask for what I need were necessary at this stage in life. When it comes up, I just keep saying, I'm not a burden, I'm not a burden, I'm not a burden. I'm eternally grateful to Maryann for her meticulous planning and booking places to stay. We'd figure out where we wanted to go, we'd search and book a place almost daily, and that was comforting for us. Thank you, Maryann, for accepting me as I am. I could not have done this journey without you, quite literally. Thank you.
Thanks, Mollie. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see you all here. My name is Maryann Postans, and I'm going to tell my story of the Camino. The name of my story is Camino de mi Corazón. Corazón in Spanish means heart. I'm going to start off with a Joseph Campbell quote, "We must let go of the life we planned so as to have a life that is waiting for us," unquote. Having retired in 2021, after completing my 31st year of teaching high school biology, I needed to delve deep into myself and my way of thinking to discover a new life path that would bring me closer to my true self. During the first years of freedom from work and stress, I focused on my passions: horses, singing, and traveling. Now it was time for me to go deeper, and so I set my sights on returning to Spain to a time past when my mother and I traveled to Galicia to visit the area where our relatives came from. It was 1982, and we watched the pilgrims walking along the side of the road during Easter on their way to Santiago de Compostela. I remember their look of determination while walking single file, head down, being pulled by some force that I had yet to understand. Looming somewhere at the edges of my mind, the pilgrimage would be a chance to feel more joy in the present, mind-body togetherness, as well as give me a chance to set an intention for the future and feel gratitude and forgiveness for the past traumas which had carved their way into my body. While preparing for this journey, I asked my newfound friend Mollie McHugh to join me. I then watched all 6 Joseph Campbell episodes of The Power of Myth, starting with the hero's journey, and read The Book of Joy, Lasting Happiness in a Changing World by Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. I started walking long distances along the dirt roads of Vermont and feeling the earth through my 30-year-old boots, which were clearly too tight. As my intent began to surface, it was the fourth episode of The Power of Myth, Sacrifice and Bliss, that caught my attention and planted a seed in my mind. I wanted to better understand what I had been taught about the duality of right and wrong, and what I had yet to understand about transcendence. On April 12th, after flying to Madrid and taking a train to Lyon, we started walking from the Virgen del Camino on a hot day. Both of us were unsure about pace and choosing paths. Yellow, norm, green, remote, or purple, very remote, as well as how to relieve our bladders along a well-traveled road. Right off the bat, we met some friendly pilgrims who we saw later that day in a roadside pub where a pole displayed multiple flags from different countries, but no stars and stripes to be seen. We walked past fields of bright yellow rapeseed and other fields of rocky soil that looked like it couldn't grow anything. As we walked to San Martín del Camino, we passed noisy rookeries of black birds and a large flock of sheep blocking the road as they traveled to a distant pasture. Our first night, we stayed in a quaint albergue hostel with a small bar, a few tables to eat a simple pilgrim dinner, and a bathroom in a double room that we welcomed with open arms. While walking during those first days, I thought about the artwork we had seen in the Prado Museum in Madrid. A painting by Pedro Pablo Rubens called The Banquet of Tereus, painted between 1636 and 1639, depicting King Tereus, pale and gray after finding out he had eaten his bastard son at a banquet, the result of having raped his wife's sister and then cut out her tongue so she couldn't tell. The sister wove the tale into a tapestry over many months, and when the king's wife finally understood, she did the unthinkable. I wish I had not read the signage for this painting, as this image will be with me for the rest of my life. Contrast this horror with another painting at the Prado by Roger van der Weyden, The Descent from the Cross, painted in 1435, that depicts Jesus being taken down from the cross, his mother fainting in the foreground, and various people compassionately supporting the draped bodies. One is a story about power, lust, deceit, and human cruelty that destroys lives. The other story is about love and self-sacrifice, a spiritual leader willing to do the right thing no matter the cost. I used to think of duality as real and fixed, hence the use of the word right above. But I now realize that I was only taught to think this way. The truth is that both the black and the white, the evil and the good, are fabricated by our human minds. If we could just transcend this way of looking at the world rather than judge a situation as good or bad, then we could hold compassion for all manifestations of humanness. Perhaps this fits the monthly theme of rolling waters and mighty streams. As we walked towards the cathedral where one of the first apostles of Jesus, St. James, was supposedly buried in a crypt, I thought about my parents, Nancy Ann Johnston Gonzalez and George Van Buskirk Bueller, who gave me life, a strong sense of family, access to education, fortitude, and a fierce independence from an early age. I carried some of my mother's ashes in a small woven basket in my hip pouch, as well as a bear claw that symbolized my father's cave-like personality. I talked out loud to them about the gratitude and forgiveness I felt while on this journey. With my realization that there is no true black or white, I needed to release my own stored pain and anger from having been brought up by two parents who were self-absorbed, depressed, angry, going through a divorce, and drinking heavily with no knowledge of how to support or properly care for a 4-year-old child. The small toy dragon that I carried in my pouch represented the strategies that my 4-year-old mind came up with to survive my childhood. Excessive control over my environment, detachment issues, hyper-responsibility, holding my breath, protecting my heart with my shoulders, and my aggressive independence to the point that I was terrified to trust anyone besides myself. Slaying the dragon meant letting go of my childhood fears and understanding and choosing compassion for my parents and myself instead of thinking in terms of good or bad. What helped me begin to crack open these survival strategies was being in the moment while walking alongside my friend Mollie. While taking each step through valleys and fields and over mountains, I experienced eternity rather than regret or anxiety. Quote, and now this moment, and this moment, unquote, as Tara Brach would say. Always a choice. Mollie and I sang each day using our breath to sound Spirit of life and Alma del Core, Spiritu del Alma, through the echoing tunnels. And we both wrote poetry, cinquains, about our experiences. Here are a couple of my cinquains. Weeds, yellow, vibrant, creating, directing, playing, transforming human thoughts into beauty, dandelions. Here's another one. Consciousness, vibrant, pure, seeking, energizing, pulling, following the true source of who we are, manifestation. As we walked into the square in Santiago de Compostela, I thought about all the pilgrims before us who walked part or all of the 500 miles from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port in France. I also thought about how our bodies are made to walk long distances, out of the African continent to all corners of the world, and how our existence is but a fleeting moment in the long time frame of evolution. I'll end with another quote by Joseph Campbell. Quote, every act has both good and evil results. Every act in life yields pairs of opposites in its results. The best we can do is lean toward the light, toward the harmonious relationships that come from compassion with suffering, from understanding the other person, unquote. Thank you.